Hi there, I'm the book lady, and I bring 2 books to my friends. We read them, we talk about them, and gee, take a guess of what we're going to read today. Not necessarily flowers, but we're going to read about things that grow and things that make, I don't know, life just a little nicer, okay? First one is The Rough Patch by Brian Lies. You know, I'm glad that's not my last name, because Brian probably tells the truth, but his last name is Lies. And he wrote the story and he drew the pictures. He is the illustrator. Remember, we learned the word illustrations? It's like the grown-up word for pictures. He did both in this book, and you're going to like this book. It's a good one. Then we're going to read Zee, and that's this little girl's name. Zee Grows a Tree. Now I'm going to tell you ahead of time, my granddaughter came over because she was sick, and she was staying with me for the day because her mommy and daddy were at work. So we sat out on the front porch, and I read all the books that I had brought home from the library. And she chose the 2 she liked, and she said, "Read these on the book lady, because your friends will like them." So I brought them, okay? Let's read The Rough Patch first. And see, even the cover page is green. And I wore green. How about that? Okay, The Rough Patch, here we go. Evan and his dog did everything together. They played games and enjoyed sweet treats. Look at him feeding that dog, his dog, an ice cream cone. They shared music and adventure. They were together all through the day and all through the seasons. Do you know what the seasons are? We have 4 of them. Winter, spring, summer, fall. But what they loved the most was working in Evan's magnificent garden. Wow. There, everything they planted grew as big and beautiful as the sky above them. Wow, Evan is a very good gardener. But one day, the unthinkable happened. And this is a very sad picture. Evan laid his dog to rest in a corner of the garden, and nothing was the same. I mean, look how sad he looks. And this page is where they wrote, "And nothing was the same." Evan shut himself away inside. Without his best friend, the garden was a bitter and lonely place. One morning, he found himself with a hoe in his paws. Swinging angrily, he slashed the garden to the ground. Boy, he's angry, but he's also still very sad. He hacked it all to bits and threw everything into a heap. Oh boy, he tore it up. But a good place won't stay empty for long. New plants sprouted and stretched toward the sky. Weeds, itchy ones, spiky and prickly ones. foul-smelling ones. These weeds suited Evan just fine, so he took care of them. If Evan's garden couldn't be a happy place, then it was going to be the saddest and most desolate spot he could make it. You know what I call this? Stinkin' thinkin'. And soon it was. It was sad, pitiful, desolate. Oh, look at that. When Evan found a pumpkin vine sneaking in under the fence, he raised his hoe to drop it. But then he considered its prickly stems, fuzzy leaves, and spidery, twisty tendrils. And those are, those little things. And those become more of the vine. And guess what he did? He let it be. As the pumpkin vine grew, Evan cleared the weeds from its path and watered it. The vine responded to his care. Oh, I bet it did. Around the time the evening air began to cool, Evan felt an old, familiar sense of excitement. It was Fair Week. Look at that pumpkin. He loaded up the pumpkin and drove to town. Will you look at that? I mean, that's a pumpkin. I don't know how he got it into his truck. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble turning pages. It's because I'm old, my hands are dry. He took care of important fair business. Well, it looks like he got the pumpkin weighed. He stopped and played some of the games. Oh yeah, that's important. He rode on the roller coaster, yeah, and gobbled down some delicious fair food. Oh yeah, he's digging into that pizza and that candy apple. He caught up with some friends too. It felt good to be out again, even if it wasn't quite the same, because he didn't have his dog. But he does look like he's having fun. Evan's pumpkin won third place. Prize is $10, or one of the pups in that box, the judge said. I'll take the $10, said Evan. But as he claimed his price, he heard a scrabbling sound inside the box and thought, it wouldn't hurt to just look. And I love the last page because there are no words. Do you know what's in the truck with him? A new puppy. And now he'll have a friend to work on his garden. You know, this book is really about loss. Have you ever lost a pet? Or maybe you've lost a grandma or grandpa. It's so sad, it's hard to explain. And a lot of people who lose pets say, I'm never going to get another dog again. But many of them do. You let some time go by. Time is so important. Time heals many, many wounds. A wound is when you hurt. It's the hurt. And he was so sad that he lost his friend. I mean, This picture shows you how happy they are. He and his dog, and they're just going to make this magnificent garden. And it looks to me like they're growing vegetables. And so probably they took their vegetables to the fair, see? But you can take flowers to the fair, but then his dog died. You know, that happened to me. I lost my best friend. Oh, Gwynnie. I loved that dog, you can't imagine. And she died. And I said, I'm never getting another dog because no one will be like my Gwynnie. Well, guess what? I got 2 more dogs. Yeah, I got a brother and a sister. And life's fun again. But boy, was I sad. Now we're going to read Zee Grows a Tree. Isn't that a great title? It's by Elizabeth Rusch. Let's find out about Zee. Now this first picture is kind of important. It says, well, first of all, you see the dad and the mom, and she is going to have a baby. See? And they're planting something in that pot. And if you read real closely, and I'll read it for you, it says, Baby Cooper's Tree. So it must be a seed. They're planting a tree. One spring morning, little Zee Cooper arrived in the world. The very same day, a Douglas fir seedling emerged from the soil at Cooper's Christmas tree farm. Ah, they have a Christmas tree farm. For the first few months of Zee's life, her mom and dad cared for her every day and night, feeding her, burping her, and changing her diaper. Zee's mom and dad cared for her little tree, too, feeding it, watering it, and pulling the weeds. Together, Zee and her tree grew bigger and stronger. And you can see here that Zee is not a little teeny tiny baby anymore. And now the tree's about that big. After just a few years, Zee was ready to start preschool. And her tree was ready to start life outside the nursery. See, those early years, the tree was in a pot in a greenhouse. Do you know what that is? It's a house made of glass, so the sunshine can come in, but it doesn't get too cold or too hot. Well, now the tree's ready to go outside into the dirt. At school, Zee made new friends and learned her ABCs. In the field, her tree met new critters and experienced how the weather changed from day to day. Zee took good care of her tree, and its roots stretched deep into the ground. On Zee's 4th birthday, her father marked her height on the kitchen doorway. Zee was shorter than the other kids in her class. "Don't worry," said Dad. "Everyone grows at different rates." Zee measured her tree's height. It was also smaller than the others. She stroked the whorls of branches. There were 4 whorls in total, 1 for each year. "Don't worry. Everyone grows at different rates." See, here's the whorls. There's one, there's one, there's one, and that. See, and those will have the branches that come out. Okay. When summer arrived, Zee outgrew all her clothes. Zee's tree grew too, reaching a foot higher in just 1 month. Zee's tree was finally finally taller than she was. Wow. The following fall, when Zee started kindergarten, she got a whole new look. Her tree was looking pretty spiffy too. And see how she's trimming it up a little bit. In first grade, Zee learned all kinds of exciting new things. How to add big numbers, how to draw a castle, and how to juggle a soccer ball. "Look at me," she said to her tree. When a heavy bird snapped off the top of Zee's tree, the tree learned something new. How to turn a branch into a new treetop. In second grade, Zee lost 3 teeth, one right after the other. A few weeks later, 3 new teeth poked through her gums. Have you lost any teeth? Yeah, I remember that. I'll be honest with you. I didn't like it. It gets so loose and you didn't want to, we won't talk about that. In May, new buds burst forth at the top of Zee's tree and started growing branches. And she's painting a picture of it. Later that spring, it got hot. I mean, really, really hot. It was the hottest, driest spring anyone could remember. Zee noticed that her tree looked pale, with thin, scraggly branches. She studied her tree up close. Big patches of needles had turned dry and brown. "Oh, you don't feel well, do you?" she said, stroking the brittly branches. Zee grabbed a watering can and poured water around the parched tree. Parched means dry. She fanned it and spread ice cubes on the ground around the trunk. "Oh, it's the heat," she said. "Don't worry, I'll take care of you." I think that's so clever that she put ice cubes around the bottom, because with the heat, they'll just gradually, slowly melt, and that gives the tree some more water. During the summer, Zee lugged water to her tree every week. She camped beside it whenever she could. She even shared her freezer pops. Now that's different. Yeah. Zee did everything she could to protect her tree in its weakened state. In the fall, she heaped mulch at the base to keep the ground warm and moist. You know what mulch is? It's really ripped up wood and leaves and stuff that people put in gardens. And so you can see her, she's putting it, see, on her tree. In the winter, she constructed a burlap screen to protect its branches from icy breezes. That is really something. That spring, Zee celebrated her 8th birthday by unwrapping the burlap from her tree. It was still shorter and scragglier than the other trees, but it stood strong. "You made it," she said. Zee fed her tree, and as the weeks passed, the tree grew and grew and turned a deep, rich green. Oh, she caressed its soft new needles. "You're getting healthier every day," she said. The summer sun warmed Zee's back as she trimmed the last few scraggly branches and sheared the sides of her tree. "Look at you. You're the most beautiful tree on the farm." Oh. That winter, Zee's tree was finally old enough and tall enough to become a holiday tree. Will you look at that tree farm? And Zee was old enough and tall enough to decorate it herself all the way to the top. I'll talk about this in a minute, but I'm going to show you that. Isn't that a great picture? Well, she didn't cut the tree down. I noticed that. And then this book happens to have all this information. Look at all that information about Douglas fir trees. And it just was so interesting. When you don't cut the tree down and you let it stay there and just keep growing, they can live for hundreds of years and grow to be more than 300 feet tall. That's really tall. Isn't that something? I just loved this book because I learned about the Douglas fir tree, and I loved the way we watched Zee and the tree grow. And you know, the tree got kind of sick, but Zee took care of the tree and protected it from cold wind, watered it, put ice cubes under it. I think she saved the tree. And that tree could live for 300 years. And you know, my granddaughter said to me, 300 years? Why, you won't be here and I won't be here. And I said, no, we won't. But maybe we'll have great-grandchildren, great-great-great-grandchildren who will enjoy that tree. We don't know. But I like the way we followed the growth of the tree with Zee. Oh, I hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did. It's a good one. But the rough patch, I think, teaches us all a lesson. And you know, there is an expression, well, I kind of went through a rough patch. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I think everybody has gone through a rough patch in their life. So if you are in your rough patch, or your mommy or daddy or your sister, brother, if they're going through their rough patch, just stand back, let them know you're there for them. And lots of times it just ends up going away. And that's what happened with Evan. Oh, Evan, he really went through a rough patch. But what changed things? I'll tell you what changed things. Right here is what changed things. And do you see that? That's a shadow of the hoe, that he's going to take that hoe, whack, and he's going to cut right through there and kill that pumpkin. But something stopped him. That pumpkin crept under the fence and started to grow to catch Evan. Yeah, because once that pumpkin, and he didn't kill it, look, he cut back some weeds, he let the sun in, he watered it, and look what's happening. It's growing quite a large pumpkin there. It's still green, it's not orange yet. But that's what happens with rough patches. Something comes in and kind of rescues us. Hits us upside the head and says, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Well, that pumpkin, he let it grow. It turned orange. And really, the pumpkin led him to the fair, right? Where he had fun. He rode the roller coaster. His pumpkin won 3rd place. That's good. He ate some good fair food. And then they said, okay, now you can have $10. Or, see this box? It's full of puppies. You can have a puppy. I want the $10. Why did he change his mind? I think because he heard that. I'm just going to peek. And that last page is fantastic. I would love to talk to Brian, the author, the man who wrote this book, and ask him about that page. It's just wonderful. It doesn't need words. We know what he did. He's taking one of those puppies home, and he will grow his garden and bring it back to the way it was. And his dog is buried right there in the garden. So in a way, his first dog is there watching things and kind of teaching that puppy how to do things. It's a beautiful story. So if you have a rough patch in your life, don't worry about it. It's going to go away. Something's going to come. Maybe a little pumpkin vine will come into your life. Yeah, that's what happens. You can't be going through life with all that stinking thinking. Did you see those pictures? Oh, I'm telling you. Where is that one that was really bad? Oh, well, that's pretty bad, but he's just letting things go. And notice that Mr. Lies used different colors to make it look kind of grim. I mean, look at that. That's not happy. And that's what we want to be. We want to be happy. That doesn't look happy. So what crept in there and changed happy to hopeful? We talked about that before. Hope. Hope. It's so important. And it creeps up on you. You don't even know it's coming. And look how it creeped up on him. And everything changed. Oh, I'm so glad you joined me today. We read The Rough Patch and we read about Zee and her tree. So now if you go to a Christmas tree farm and cut down your own Christmas tree, you know it's probably at least 8 years old. Oh, don't forget, you can watch The Book Lady on YouTube. Do you know how to use that? Well, ask an adult. And you just type in The Book Lady, and all these wonderful books and more are there for you to enjoy. Tell your cousins, tell your friends. Why don't you get a group together and watch The Book Lady? Because I bring special books to you. In fact, guess what I think I'm going to do? After I say goodbye to you, I think I'm going to go to the library. Have you gotten your library card? I hope so. I'm going to go to the library and find 2 more books to bring back to you. And they're going to be wonderful books. And today we have hope, and we're happy, and I'm glad you were here. I'm the Book Lady. Bye-bye.